Welcome in. Good afternoon. We are live at the Blue Cross Blue Shield Fearless Family Zone here at KeyBank Center with Sabres defenseman Colin Miller, fresh off his trip to Sweden. Happy to be home?
Yeah, definitely. It was a lot of fun over there, and I think the Swedes had a blast being at home playing in front of their their home crowd. But by the end of it, I think we were ready to get home and play some games here back at the KeyBank.
Hockey is such an international game. How much have you ventured overseas in the course of your career prior to the pro ranks or in the pro ranks?
That was my first time. That was my first time in Europe. First time, kind of seeing their way of life and stuff like that. So it was good. It was a great experience. I mean, obviously for me, first time being over there, it was a ton of fun. So yeah, it was cool.
What was different and or exciting?
The food obviously was different. The beds were a little smaller than that, but it was all fun. I mean, you see the crowd. The crowd's into it a little bit of a different way that they are over here. They got their drums going and stuff like that. So it was cool to see.
Tell us about your journey. I mean, I think for a lot of people, they're still just getting to know your game and you're catching up on where you've been in your career. It was, how would you describe it from the start, growing up in Sault Ste. Marie?
Growing up in the Sioux, there was a lot of hockey. The Sioux, I think, is very much like Buffalo, where it gets very cold in the winter, and we got the lake effect and all that stuff. But a lot of hockey rinks, a lot of active, outdoor rinks and stuff like that as a kid growing up. So it was pretty much hockey all the time for me as a kid.
Captain, right, in the Sioux as well, and recognized as such by the OHL for your leadership. Was that at a point, was when you were, acknowledged for that type of leadership and, being drafted and stuff, is that a real launching point for where you thought you could ultimately get to?
Yeah, well, that was my third year there in the Sioux. My last year playing for the Hounds. It was a lot of fun, playing for my hometown team and, a team that I always grew up watching. But yeah, it was a nice kind of confidence booster for me to kind of finish off at that level and then start the journey at pro. So it was a great experience in the Sioux. There we had a lot of guys that moved on and played pro hockey. So a lot learned from that.
And then the reality of the pro game hits, and you get moved, and you're in a different organization. And but in the process of that, I mean, you won a Calder Cup, correct?
Yeah. When I was in Los Angeles' organization, we won a Calder Cup there in Manchester, New Hampshire, which was another great experience. A long playoff run. I think we were playing hockey after the NHL that year. It's a long year in the American League there, but a great experience.
Yeah, and obviously, wherever you've been from that point on, be it Boston, Vegas, here now, it's been really wonderful to watch your game. The question, from our audience here on Facebook Live, how has your game developed after leaving Vegas? That comes from Luke.
I think, more responsibility here, playing with some younger guys. I think the switch kind of went from being a younger guy in a team to more of an older guy and kind of a guy that's, relied on a little bit more with some of the younger guys and that responsibility. So I've really enjoyed that opportunity, and I think it's going okay so far.
All right. Favorite restaurant here in Buffalo? Jeremy wants to know.
Sienna is right out by where I live. That place is really good. Giancarlo's as well. Get that Italian food in me pretty often.
I love it. No hesitation. See, sometimes people don't want to ruffle feathers or whatever, but you are strong in your opinion. I love that. What do you enjoy doing here in Buffalo when not playing? Joseph with that question.
Well, I live out in Amherst there, so I mean that whole Main Street area is beautiful. Just going out and eating and stuff like that. We've been over to the mall a couple times and stuff like that as well. But no, I think for me it's got a lot more feeling of being close to home. With the winter here, that's something I haven't experienced for a couple of years now. So we're starting to get the Christmas feels, and it's exciting.
Deep down, are you really anxious to experience a full run of winter now that we've got it in the early November stages?
Yeah, no, I mean right now it's great. It's actually fun to see the snow again and get that kind of feel. But it really doesn't bother me. Like I said, growing up in the Zoo, we were buried quite often, so it's pretty normal for me.
Yeah, it is. Now, the problem is, I mean, I think in the big picture, people think, because you're from Ontario, hey, you're kind of closer to home, but it's still a haul for family to get down here. So talk about that and, family and friends and the opportunity to maybe have them here for some games.
Yeah, I got some family just over in Toronto there, so they've been over to some games. My parents are definitely liking having me closer to home, they get to more games. But no, I mean, it's easy enough. It'll be easy to get home at Christmas, and a lot easier getting home than all the way on the West Coast.
All right, a quick reminder, we are here at the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Western New York, Fearless Family Zone at KeyBank Center. I want you to stop by this exact area during our home games to create your own hockey trading cards and record your favorite Sabres memory. This, of course, part of the golden season celebrating 50 years of hockey. Who did you grow up cheering for?
They're not going to like this one, but I was a Leafs fan growing up. Not anymore, but I mean, Hockey Night in Canada is a thing that's pretty common. Saturday night, that's all we're watching. So I was by default, a Leafs fan. All
right, what do you think you guys need to do to get back on track here after a tough couple of games? Brad offering up that question.
Yeah, it's been frustrating. I thought we deserved a better fate in that second game over in Sweden. But I mean, there's going to be stretches like this throughout the season. Obviously, we had that great start. Mm-hmm. Now it's a little bit tougher, but I don't think anything changes. The belief in the room's still there. If we can get that power play going again, that's a big thing that'll help. So just keep chipping away. It's frustrating right now, but you don't want to change too much.
This might be a tough one to answer, but when you're looking at the power play and seeing it drop a little, what are you seeing like from Eichel's unit that maybe isn't clicking the way it was before?
Well, I think everybody wants to score so bad, and everybody wants to be the guy that kind of turns the game in our favor. But sometimes it's just about simplifying, getting a greasy one and putting the puck to the net and stuff like that. So probably just a little bit of simplifying. That always seems to kick the power play back into gear.
All right, this is from Jeff. Who is your favorite Marvel character?
Marvel. I don't know. I can't say I have maybe Thor. That's the one with the hammer, right?
Well, I was a little surprised because I was like, well, in my research, I didn't, sense the connection between you and Marvel. But anyway, who has the best hair in the locker room? From Sean.
Best hair. I don't know. Sammy's got some pretty good locks there. Nobody with too long hair on this team, but yeah, Sammy's pretty good.
Okay, do you ever bowl in your spare time? Devin wants to know.
A little bit, yeah. We would. We get to the lanes in Vegas. I haven't been here yet, but yeah, it's a hobby of mine, I guess.
Favorite moment as a Sabre so far, thanks to Cassidy.
I think the white jerseys there opening night was a blast. You saw the way the crowd was into it. That was a really competitive game, some big hits and some great goals. So any game like that is really fun, and when you have your home crowd so loud behind you, it's a blast.
It was quite a night. I think Victor Olofsson was last to stand in this position with us, and he loved that night as well. Loved the uniforms, just everything about it was so fresh and exciting for him. So now, as I've told you, it's about living fearlessly for Blue Cross Blue Shield. Give me a moment where you've lived fearlessly. I'm thinking, not to steer you in one direction, but some of those outdoor rinks you played on in the Soo might have been pretty cold. So, how much did you put yourself into the extremes at a young age?
Yeah, I think I got some frostbite pretty early on my toes when I was a kid. But I don't know. Fearless. I think throughout a career and guys' careers, there's ups and downs, and there's always those mental battles. So for me, and I think for a lot of other guys, that's something that you got to kind of attack fearlessly, and that's probably mine.
But the one thing about hockey players, and I'll say sometimes especially Canadian ones, is that they don't want to talk about themselves. They'd rather talk about others. So perhaps you could give an example of perhaps a teammate who has, played through ridiculous injuries or things like that. I mean, you must see it all the time and have lived it yourself, where how is this guy even playing right now?
Yeah, it's tough. And you see guys that get one and then get another injury. I mean, a couple guys on this team, obviously Zach Bogosian and Jake have kind of caught that injury bug. Hopefully, touch wood, it's over now. But those guys are coming to the rink, and I mean Zach especially, he's working his what off to get back, and I mean that definitely doesn't go unnoticed.
Last one connected to that, because I heard this in the summer, kind of knew it, but was reinforced when it comes to guys playing through injury. Will Carrier, former Sabre in Vegas, was he a little bit of a guy that was hard to take out of the lineup?
I think his injuries were self-induced, but he was a bull. He was a fun guy to play with, and I'm sure a lot of people in Buffalo remember him here.
Very good. Thank you so much for the time, Colin.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we wrap up here. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Western New York, of course, the official health care plan of the Buffalo Sabres. We will see you Thursday night.